What is up, peoples? Welcome to Poncho's Palace for yet another review. And this time, we are going to be taking a look at Jakks Pacific's newly dropped Super Mario Bros. Movie Wave. Quick shout out to a not so awesome review. Because of his review, it pushed me to buy these figures, especially with the energy and hype that I already have for this movie, as I'm excited for the Super Mario's movie.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I had to pick these guys up, and I said, why not drop a review? So anyways, this wave consists of pretty much the core characters, if you really think about it. So you got Toad, you got Mario, you got Luigi, Peach, all with different points of articulation, which we'll take a look at, and accessories and aesthetics and so on and so forth. And of course, we have none other than El Señor Bowser. This guy is big, beefy, lots of plastic, barely fits in the frame of my shot here. So let's take these bad boys out of the box and take a closer look. Just real quick, I bought these off of my local GameStop. So if you were looking for them, they have them everywhere. They were 20 bucks a pop, with the Bowser coming out to 30. All right, anyways, enough chit chat. Let's pop these bad boys open. Hold on, before we move forward, just want to give you guys a quick look at least one of the boxes. So this is Luigi. You got Luigi here with his name. You got Mario here at the front. All of them have Mario. You got to look at the actual figure itself with his accessory, the logo of the movie. On the right side, you got a promotional image of Luigi. On the back, you got another promotional image of Luigi. And of course, they all come with their appropriate promotional images depending on the character. Points of articulation, in this case 16. Another promotional image of Luigi at the bottom, legalese with its barcode at the top. Not much else. And they all come color coded here at the flap opening with their name. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, so let's take a quick look at the accessories department first. So now, each character comes with one accessory, and it's one basic accessory. And I want to say they diverted from giving us like a star or a fire flower, potentially to avoid any spoilers. I'm just gonna assume that.
This is a load of barnacles.
So for example, here is Princess Peach. So we start off with Princess Peach's accessories. She comes with her umbrella, very Princess Peach-like, dominated in that pink hot pink hits there at the top for the strap, and then the handle in a heart shape. So yeah, that's her accessory. Can't open up or anything. Jakks China written there. And of course, the molding department did a really good job. So you can see the little creases for the folded up umbrella. So good job there. Toad, up next, comes with his little skillets, his little cast iron frying pan. And I'm definitely going to stick with cast iron material, only because you can see the texture there. So they went as far as to even give us texture. And not only there, but also the handle. If you notice, there's like little grooves on the handle to give it that wood-like texture. You got the little hole there. They even molded the bolt there that holds the cast iron pan to the wood handle. So pretty dang dope. Now Mario and Luigi, them being brothers, you got Mario with his plunger. What's a plumber without a plunger? Painted in that soft pink, and then that wood-like paint for the handle. You got some texture as well, the wood-like texture. So while Mario's doing the plumbing business, the hard labor, you got Luigi as his wingman, his brother, with his flashlight. So dominated in that yellow. You can see the molding department did also a really good job. You can see it definitely does give it that nice flashlight vibes to it. I would have probably painted that blue just to give it that nice, like, cartoony like light to it. You got the back there with where I'm gonna assume the battery compartment is at. Got the hits of the off-white there with on the buttons, and then the handle painted in that black with the red power button there. Pretty dope. I mean, they actually did a pretty dope job with the sculpting department when it comes down to these accessories. Alrighty, so that's it for the accessories. Bowser doesn't come with any accessories, so don't expect accessories from him. He does have a gimmick, so do the other figures. So let's take a look at the figures. Cool, so Peach is gonna start us off since she has the least amount of points of articulation per the packaging itself. So as you can see, taking in a closer look, she's dominated, of course, in that pink color. You got the light pinks, you got the darker pinks, you got the painted emblem there with the gold paint as well. Man, I really love her profile, her face profile. They did a good job with the aesthetics of Peach itself. but there is one big downfall. I'll mention that in just a sec. You got big chunk of plastic for her hair. It's in that soft, it's a very soft plastic. I'm actually a big fan of this kind of plastic. And then of course her crown here at the top, painted in the gold with the blues and the reds. You got her arm cover. Her arm sleeve in that white that's camouflage into my background with the hits of her skin. And now one gimmick that all these figures have, with the exception of Toad, and I'll mention that when we look at Toad, is that they have these realistic eyes per the pack. So if we look at the packaging, for example, each figure has what they call it as realistic eyes. So what that means is that regardless of the angle that the character is looking at, regardless of the angle, it would look like the eyes are looking at you. Now, some more than others. I feel like some of them would stop after a certain point. Let me throw some light in over here. Right there. But yeah, they have realistic eyes, and again, we'll cover Toad's in just a sec. But I feel like Mario's and Luigi's eyes are a little bit more dominant in this realistic department. But now, this is the only downfall to this character. So she, according to the box, has 8 points of articulation. Her neck is the only thing that rotates, so it's only on a swivel. You can't really tell if it's on a ball joint. I'm pretty damn sure, I'm willing to bet that it's not on a ball joint at all whatsoever. But you can't really rotate it either because of the hair. So the hair hinders any form of rotation. You can only do it like what, like 30, 45 degree angle. So that's as far as the neck is able to go. In terms of her shoulders, because she has this big chunk of plastic there, her arm is only able to go up that far. It is on a hinge and swivel, so thankfully you're able to rotate it all around. She only has a single jointed elbow. But it does its justice. So it goes a little bit above past 90 degrees, and for her wrist, it's only on a swivel, so there's no hinge there, unfortunately. She does have a waist cut that allows you to rotate her, but if you noticed, because of the molding of the dress that she's wearing, she does this whole like bendy thing when you try to rotate her, which makes sense because yeah, she's a little forward. But that's it. Her waist only rotates. If you try to move her forward, she springs back. I think it's just because of the peg itself. You're moving it, you're bending it itself. So I'd probably be careful with that. But that's it. Only the top portion of this figure has any form of articulation. Aside from that, she's literally a traffic cone. Not even her feet. So they did mold her feet down here, but it doesn't even rotate. They did paint it, so you can see some skin tone right there. But that's it. It's painted in that skin beige and of course the pink. But other than that, aesthetically, again, she's pleasing. There's really no shading at all whatsoever with these figures. But they did at least paint what's supposed to be painted, and I mean, that's as far as she goes. Yeah, and then the realistic eyes. So let's move on. Runner up is Toad. So taking a closer look at Toad himself. Now, real quick, touching on that that realistic eyes gimmick. Tell me, am I tripping or what? Like, there's no, you can't. He doesn't have eyes. He doesn't. I mean, it's just the glare of the light. So that's why I was confused when this was shown, where he has the realistic eyes for the Toad, but there's no gimmick. So he's technically the only one, unless I'm missing something, the only one without a gimmick of some sort. Now, subjectively, I like him. He looks great aesthetically. Objectively, he does miss a few things, unfortunately, and the eyes is one of them. So aesthetically, let's look. Of course, he has this trademark toadstool hat or a helmet or a head. Of course, with the red dots or whatnot. Let me take a little closer look. This is pretty cool because he's sculpted. His face is all sculpted, so the smile there is sculpted on. His eyes are sculpted on and painted in that black with that white dot there to make it look like light sheen. That's my assumption. I never thought those were pupils unless I'm incorrect this whole time. And then of course you see the backpack, his travel bag straps there with the silver buckles. You got his vest painted in that iconic blue and yellow. If I don't know if the camera's making it out, but there is slight texturing on the actual edges where the gold or the yellow edges are, the trimmings. He has his pants here. You see a little knot right here in his pants. It's painted in that or sculpted in the white. There is texture in his pants, some little grooves going down on his pants, so there is some texture as well as his shoes. So there's texture on his shoes as well, which is pretty dope. They're giving us texture all over the place with these figures, so I dig that. I'm assuming because it's the movie figures, and even though it's an animated movie, it's still more realistic than the video games would be. And if you notice here, like for example, there's some more texture on across his the bottom of his treads here. So check the treads. The backpack, now the backpack is detailed galore. You got the rope there, of course simple paint, no shading at all whatsoever. So you got the rope there, sculpted and painted in that rope color. This is his pan, his little frying pan accessory. So it does have his backpack, or his travel bag does have a little slot there that enables you to slip that right in. You got his little coffee cup there, the little lantern, or the lamp I mean, little satchel bag there with the painted on silver strap and silver strap there. Little badges painted, no details, just regular badges. The backpack itself also has texture across it. That there, I'm not sure what that is for. Maybe it's so that way it allows you to give you some give for this little bag here for his frying pan. You got his little pickaxe there, another bag here with the silver paint. So yeah, detailing is pretty dang cool. Now in terms of his articulation, his head, this is one thing I will mention. He does have a very heavy travel bag, so he's back heavy, unfortunately. So you'll notice that right off the bat, he has some heft to him, but it's all because of his back. Now, what that means is, of course, the weight distribution is gonna enable him to go backwards. So I'm gonna show you when I prop him up what the unfortunate things is, but we'll there's a way around it. So his arms are able to go up that far, so he's able to strike pretty much a Y pose, which is pretty dang dope. He only has a single jointed elbow, goes less than 90 degrees, and actually goes backwards too if you want to break his arm. But no wrist swivel at all. Unfortunately, there's no wrist articulation whatsoever. He does not have any articulation in terms of the waist, so you can't rotate his waist. If you look here, it's not taken over by the articulation of his legs. So this whole big piece here, all the way upwards, is just made to allow you to rock his legs up and not back at all. So literally that's it. He does have a rotator for his ankle, but that's literally it. The only give that his ankle has in terms of pivoting is going to be based off of the molding of the pants itself. So he's able to move his ankles or his feet outwards that much, and inwards, of course. Now going back to his backpack, so he is super back heavy, and right out the box he's gonna do that. Unfortunately, he's just gonna fold back. So you have two ways of standing him up if you're gonna put him on the shelf. So you can use his backpack, of course, to prop him up, or you can move him slightly forward, his feet slightly forward, and have him stand up like that. Now the only thing I wish is that he's probably the only figure amongst well, at least the heroes that has a ball joint for the head that allows you to move it up and down. I just wish that he was able to move that. Let me move this out the way. He was able to move a little bit more upwards, so that way it looks like he's staring a lot more upwards. But that's not too shabby. I mean, that's how you're gonna probably stand him up for the most part, unless you're gonna use his backpack to prop him up. But he is super back heavy. I feel like that's something to call out. Alrighty, let's move on. Runner up is one of the two brothers, and this is Luigi. This is my personal favorite, not just figure wise but character wise. I've always been a Luigi fan and a Waluigi fan. So taking a closer look at his details here, again, they Jakks Pacific really went out on the detailing So you can definitely tell that there's stitching, the stitching molded across his overalls, the stitching on the sides. Even when as far as the paint, the little buckles for the overalls, these buckles here in that gold hit, the wrinkles, the grooves across his shirt, the hair detailing there. There goes. So there goes that gimmick as well. See, he looks a lot more like he's looking at you if you tilt his head either left or right. That gimmick works well on, I think, the Mario Brothers, more so than on Princess Peach. Now, if you look at his hat, there's also detailing there. Hopefully, you guys can make it out because I know it's my background can kind of change it up. But like, look at that. There's definitely some wrinkles going across the hat and the seam line. So that's where the realisticness, quote unquote, comes up. It differentiates maybe this character versus the other counterparts. You can see the gloves there, of course, molded. You got those little creases molded onto the gloves. The boots actually have some detail as well. You got the laces with the eyelets and then that back heel, little protective cup there. And then check the treads. They even went as far as to give us treads for these figures. And it's all painted. It's painted in the 2 different tones of brown. The mustache looks legit. I mean, yeah, you can definitely see it. This is definitely Luigi. So now the difference between in articulation is he's a lot more linkier. So he's taller and linkier. So aesthetically, he is different from Mario, not just in height but in dimensions, but both articulations seem to be about the same, but I'll cover Mario afterwards. So now in terms of articulation, his head is able to rotate a full 360, but just like mentioned earlier, he doesn't have the ball joint, unfortunately. He's not able to look downwards nor upwards like Toad is. At least Toad is able to look just a tad bit. His arms go that far up, almost a Y pose. He does have double jointed elbows, but it only enables you to bend it about a 90-degree angle, literally just at the 90-degree angle, and a wrist rotator, no hinge, unfortunately. He does have a waist cut that allows you to rotate him a full 360 if you need to. His legs go up that far. He does have the thigh cut there that allows you to rotate it, and single jointed knees, and ankle rotator and swivel. Alrighty, so that's Luigi. Let's move on to Mario. So, taking a look at Mario, the main protagonist himself. So, overall, same quality as Luigi. So, in terms of the molding, for example, the sculpting detail, it's very similar. You got the wrinkles on his hat. You got the seam line on his hat. You got the details on his mustache. You got the details, the grooves on his hair with the waves. That's pretty dang dope. The ears, it's all very nicely sculpted. Down to his overalls, the stitching work, the painted buckles here on the front, the painted buckles here on the pockets. You got the details of the wrinkling of the shirt. You got those 3 lines that every other cartoon glove is known for. Hopefully my camera's able to make it out. It almost camouflages to the background, to the pan, the wrinkle work, again the stitching, and this very similar concept of the sculpting work on the shoes as well. You got the shoes here with the laces, the eyelets, and then of course the back heel there, and then check the treads. Man, that's cool that they went as far as to do that, man. I like that. So yes, very similar quality level of sculpt work on Mario as it was on Luigi. In terms of articulation, so Luigi and Mario both share the same amount of articulation, which is 16 points according to the packaging. However, due to the fact that Mario's dimensions are a little bit different, so that you're going to see some differences in terms of the amount of give that Mario has versus Luigi, and vice versa. So Mario does have, of course, the same rotator. He doesn't have no ball joint for the head. His arms are actually able to go farther upwards than Luigi's was. His double jointed elbows aren't able to give in as much, however. Luigi's did 90 degrees, where this one's lower than 90, less than 90, unfortunately. Same thing, wrist rotator, no hinge. Waist rotator, same concept. Legs are able to go that far up. Single jointed knees and ankle rotator, but the pivot unfortunately isn't like Luigi's, because the girth here of his pants, that plastic, is a lot thicker than the plastic that Luigi comes with. So Luigi's ankle is a little bit more giving than Mario's. So again, same points of articulation between the two, but they're both different dimensions. So of course that means they're both gonna have different gives. Alrighty, so let's move on to last but not least, the main antagonist himself. And here he is, the antagonist, King Koopa, aka Bowser. So taking a closer look at Bowser, he's exactly what I anticipated an animated series Bowser to look like. And by that, what I'm more referring to is that they're not gearing more towards the realistic look to Bowser, but at least more realistic than the video games. And by that, what I mean is you can see across all the skin parts in his body, it's covered in texture to make it look like an actual reptile, like actual reptile skin. And then here, even in the back, in his shell, his ferocious shell, you got texturing all across the actual shell itself. Now you're not gonna see no shading on this guy, of course, just like the rest of the figures, but they at least, you know, gave us a sculpting. So, but this is not shading. This is pretty cool. You see the greens here, the darker greens transitioning into a lighter green, and then the yellow green. Same thing with the sides here. Let's check out his head. So the cool thing is like his eyes are painted as well in that color. Look at it, check it out. He looks very, very, very intimidating. The inside of his mouth, you can see his tongue painted in that pink with his gums in the red. And you're not mistaken if you're thinking that's water. That is definitely water inside his mouth, and I'll show you as to why. And because he has the best gimmick amongst the rest of the figures in his wave. So yeah, his hair is made in that soft plastic similar to Princess Peach. You can see the sculpting detail with the hairlines. Same thing with his eyebrows, his horns, pretty cool. His tail, the spikes in his tail is painted in that off-white. Yeah, sculpt work on these figures have been very, 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 very pleasing, to say the least. All right, so he has 14 points of articulation, so 2 less than Mario and Luigi. So let's take a look. So of course he's gonna be a big beefy figure, or what I mean by that is he's going to have big beefy figure form of articulation, so not much. His arms are able to go up that far, not much. He does have double jointed elbows, so he's able to do at least a 90 degree, I was gonna say 90 bucks, 90 degree bend. He does have a rotator for his wrist, no hinge, unfortunately. There's no ab articulation at all whatsoever. His legs are gonna be naturally bent already to that way, so this is technically how far forward he's able to go, but he is able to go far backwards, and his knees are able to erect themselves. So he does have double jointed knees as well. Unfortunately, his ankle only has a rotator but no swivel, which would have been pretty dope because you can pose them up very like as if with his legs spread out, but you can't articulate his ankles to flatten them and flatten themselves out. But yeah, there is no articulation on his head, unfortunately. You can't rotate it. There is no articulation on his mouth, so you can't open or close it. There is articulation on his tail. It looks to be like on a ball peg, but you can only swivel it and turn it around a full 360. Same thing with the top piece here. So that's as far as the tail is able to articulate. The cool thing is that he is able to hold his own, meaning you don't need to use his tail 100% of the time to prop him up, so he can actually stand on his own without his tail. But the tail is there to help him prop up in the event that you need to. So now let's talk about his gimmick. So his gimmick is a very interesting one, and that will explain the water that was in his mouth. So the back of his shell, the reason it's this soft plastic is because you're able to remove it. So I usually have a hard time taking this off. Voila. Alrighty, so you remove the soft shell plastic. You'll notice that there's a hole right here where one of the spikes still gets left behind, and then you'll see this little compartment where you'll need a Phillips screwdriver to unscrew that. Pop that bad boy open, slip in 3 of these AAA batteries, close it up. There's an on and off switch there. Then right here on the back of his head, you'll notice that there's this little etching. You can pull that off, and then that little piece there, if you notice, there's like a little crevice. That's an opening. He doesn't come with accessories, but he does come with this little water majiggy, if that's even a word. And what you do is you just pour water right inside. This doesn't go all the way inside. This doesn't budge at all. All you do is just pour the water. Just be careful. I just did it by laying it down flat on an even surface and just started pouring the water. Surprisingly, it doesn't need a lot. And you close this bad boy up. Voila, I heard a snap. I hope you heard a snap. Make sure you align that hole with the spike. Put his back in, his turtle shell. And now check this out. So let me prop him up a little bit like that. So that spike that stayed behind is an actual button. So you push in and voila. I hope you can see that. It lights up and he actually throws out steam. Hold on, let me see if I can turn off this light. Oh, dang, I think he ran out of water. Let me see if I can do that real quick.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to light up and throw out water. So you're seeing it live. All right, let's do this again. Voila, you see? So it doesn't take a lot of water for it to actually throw out steam. One more time. That's pretty dang dope. So yeah, that's the gimmick that Bowser comes with. And I don't know, call me crazy, but I think this Bowser could be the definitive Bowser for someone's shelf. If they're looking to, if they're still missing a Bowser. But yeah, I'm definitely digging this Bowser. So what I want to do now is move into some size comparisons so that way you guys can see how these scale up amongst some other figures. Alrighty, so just to size them up real quick, in terms of inches, we're looking at the top of Princess Peach's crown, 5 3/4 of an inch, Mario at 5 inches, and Luigi at 5.5. The young Toad, the shortest of them all, is going to be about 4 inches. And then the biggest one, which is King Koopa, Bowser, is 7 inches. Alrighty, so I want to compare them over to some other Jakks specific figures. So we got here Jakks Specific's Yoshi. So that's the young Yoshi there, of course based off of the video game. And then we got a Shy Guy. So in my opinion, Yoshi does look a lot smaller, and of course it goes without saying these figures here do scale bigger than most of the video game iterations of the Super Mario Bros. Or characters. But that Shy Guy does fit in very well in my humble opinion. Here they are with some of Jakks Specific's other recently released figures. So we got the Zelda Breath of the Wild Link and Princess Zelda. Sticking with Nintendo on this one, here we have them next to Jazzwares Select Lines Charizard. Here are some more Nintendo characters, this time import figures. So we have them next to Figma's Link from the Twilight Princess and Samus. Just for some Hasbro comparisons, we have them next to G.I. Joe's Classified Sergeant Slaughter and Amazing Fantasy Marvel Legends Spider-Man. Just for some NECA comparisons, here we have them next to Golden Angel Predator and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Donatello from the 4-pack. Alrighty, so to conclude this review, this is a pretty dope wave. Now I'm looking at this at a character selection perspective, and by that what I mean is that in this wave we're getting core Super Mario Bros. Characters all in one. So if you're missing any of these characters from your shelf, then you can definitely use this wave to your advantage to fill that void. And I say that with the price tag in mind, because at a $20 price tag, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow. Jakks Specific has already shown that they can bring the sculpt and the paint department in at a $10 price tag. All we're really getting here is the eye gimmicks, at least for the smaller figures, with the exception of Toad, because I still don't see it, and the additional plastic that's required to upscale these characters a little bit bigger than their video game counterparts from the past. So you can be very strategic with this wave, because again, you get all the top dogs within this wave, and if you're missing one or two, you can use this wave to select them. That being said, I feel like Bowser was the most impressive objectively. Only reason is because I expected him to be at a $30 price tag due to the amount of plastic and how big and beefy he's going to be. So his articulation and his aesthetic to me is sufficient enough for him to look dominant on my shelf. especially considering the additional gimmick that he comes with, the steaming mouth and the light effect. Yeah, that's like the cherry on top. Anyways, if you like my review, go ahead and hit that like button. That shows me at least some love that folks have given on this video here in particular. And if you like this video, then that means you may like my content, so why not consider subscribing? I have tons of other videos for other figures on my channel, so go ahead and check those out if you have the time. But yeah, consider subscribing. Comment on the comment section down below on your opinion in regards to this video. If you give me some feedback, I'd appreciate that. Or if you caught these figures, what do you think about them? Do you like them in comparison to others, to other lines or whatnot? Let me know in the comment section below. And lastly, go ahead and subscribe to my Instagram if you have the time. If you have an Instagram profile, my handle is going to be the same as this channel, as Poncho's Palace. That's where I consistently update on any other review drops that I release. Other than that, this is Poncho from Poncho's Palace, and I am signing out. Lates.